Libra, welcome to your mid-April 2017 General Tarot Update. It's Rena here. So before I lay out the cards, I just wanted to give you the heads up on a few transits that are occurring during this time period. We're having a Mercury retrograde, and that has already started. So at mid-month, it will be at 4 degrees of Taurus, stationed there. And this is your 8th house of other people's money. Because the 8th house can also include death, it can deal with inheritances. So you might be going over some things, going over papers or documentation, or talking to people about these issues. Mercury goes back into Aries on the 21st of April. So this is going to be your opposite house, the 7th house. Now, the 7th house can include marriage, and I suppose in some cases, if this, let's say inheritance deals with a spouse's income or their family's inheritance that you are involved with just by the nature of being married to this person, that could be still in play. But you could be dealing with something that relates to matters with the courts, because the 7th house can deal with that. So that could be an extension of that inheritance issue as well. On a personal front, the 7th and 8th houses can deal with commitment as well as intimacy. So how much in-depth sharing is going on within a relationship? You may feel that your partner is not communicative enough, and this is like you're done. And so you're talking about it. You may be even contemplating being done with the relationship as a result. So you're kind of hashing over that stuff. There's actually going to be a new moon in the 8th house on April 26th. So that could be a time of coming to new understanding over the 8th house matters. So intimacy and other people's money could have a new development of sorts. And what else? And so Venus, your ruler, retrograding, going direct on the 15th in Pisces. And Pisces is your 6th house. 6th. I always say it like that. Of health and your workplace. Now, that's very interesting, because when it went retrograde, it was in Aries, in your 7th house of marriage. So, were any of you having affairs in the workplace and your marriage was threatened? I'm not saying, I'm just saying. I'm going to leave it there, because now things will get sorted out as Venus goes direct. Alrighty then. Okay, well, right off the bat, if any of you are dealing with a problematic Gemini, which is a fellow air sign, I'm just seeing it and telling it to you right now that I'm seeing it. So putting it out there, putting it out in the universe. I'm acknowledging that. Okay, definitely sword energy with the first 2 cards on top. We're looking at the overall theme of the end of April as an extended spa day, but really I'm being a little bit silly, because the 4 of Swords is about retreat and going within. And it's funny that it's right above the High Priestess, which is another card. Of course, the High Priestess is in the Major Arcana. I think, what the Four of Swords represents to me also is getting your head on straight. You know, when I think of 4, I think of order. And swords are your thoughts. So getting your thoughts straight, getting your mind clear. So something has been happening, whether it's in your professional life or in your personal life, that has made you feel scattered and perhaps overly tired. And you need to recharge your batteries. You need to get back into the groove of things. In the past position, we have the 9 of Swords. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about anxiety. This is somebody who feels that they are trapped inside of their mind. And definitely, I feel that air signs are vulnerable to this because they tend to be very intellectually oriented. Air signs are thinkers. They are people who try to make sense of life through their mind. And that can be helpful because if you don't allow your emotions to kind of skewer things, you can, or skew things, it's probably skew things, you can better have a grasp over reality in a lot of ways, because emotions can be very illogical. However, taken too far, logic, is a brick wall. Intuition, which is evidenced by the High Priestess, is accessing hidden wisdom instead of the intellect. The intellect, knowledge deals with how to navigate in the world, in the 3D world. And wisdom is about beyond that. And if you only want to navigate the 3D world, you're going to get 3D results. And so you're going to be living in the world of matter. And that means that everything is temporary here. Your soul is eternal, but your soul isn't a physical object. So if you are way too believing in the world and attached to the world, then, it's like, hey, this is perfect. Live by the sword, die by the sword. And so that's beautiful, because the sword represents thoughts. Sometimes thoughts are not helpful. Sometimes thoughts are excessive. And so the 4 of Swords is about trying to practice no thought. And in that practice, you are gaining order over your life out of chaos. What is coming in now is the Sun card, which is probably the most positive card of the deck. Maybe there are some rivals. I'm talking about in the major arcana. So success, love, everything positive, coming up roses. This could deal with the sign of Leo. If you were dealing with an air sign person, maybe that air sign person is somebody who's oppressing you in some way. Maybe the 9 of Swords for you was that somebody in your life is creating a lot of negativity. And if you get them out of your life, you will have a lot better go of things. So the air signs are Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and maybe there's a Leo person who is helping you out. It doesn't have to be a romance. It could be a friend. It could be somebody that you're working for or working with. But this is definitely a card of success. And I do think of it because of the nature of what the sun represents, is that there's self-actualization involved, where it's something that your goals are being fulfilled, and also that you are maybe even being recognized. So your day in the sun, so to speak, people recognizing your talents that you have. Maybe you were working someplace where people did not acknowledge that you had talent. Actually, that Four of Swords could be you not working right now. And you're taking a breather because you were working at a place that you could no longer stand. You had to quit. Maybe it was just you felt it was, if you didn't quit, you would lose your mind. The higher message is when you trust in your higher self, everything will lead you to positive experiences. So perhaps you typically do not do this, but you've been getting more involved in the law of attraction or just similar kinds of things of trusting more in life and not trying to plan everything ahead of time. And yet, well, I shouldn't say not planning things ahead of time. You might be planning things, but you are doing so with a higher purpose in mind, not just to get by. You want to actually succeed beyond your wildest dreams. And so you're willing to dream big. And so the Sun card is kind of a recognition of that and how wonderful it is to do something like that, that pays off when people do that. In terms of love, it can be a situation of knowing who the right person is for you, just intuitively, maybe even like I was thinking of that Venus retrograde. Going back into Pisces, Pisces is this intuitive sign. And really feeling that sometimes we think of Pisces or the 12th house, that Pisces rules as past lives, karmic situations. And so for some people, these are ties that span centuries or eons, and we recognize these relationships. They're not going to come all the time in a perfect package. It's not going to come at the perfect time in the perfect place. So we have to use our intuition to recognize them, or else we might miss it. What crosses you is the Lover's card. Funny that I would associate this with the 8th house, because this is a card of intimacy. Now, the 8th house deals with emotional intimacy. It's the house that Scorpio rules. This is a card associated with Gemini. But I told you about, this could be that new moon in Taurus, although this is a challenge card. So I think this is more of the retrograding, where there are conversations being had. Maybe it's that you have the sex, but you don't have the intimacy. Maybe you have an intimacy, but you don't have the sex. I don't know. But I think of this more this could also be too that the timing is off for some sort of relationship that you're trying to get off the ground. Maybe the other person is married or involved with somebody else, so they're not available for you right now. Or maybe you're involved with somebody else and you have to be free of that relationship before you can fully commit. What comes in, or this could sometimes be the advice, is the 3 of Pentacles. If you're at work, this could mean is that you collaborate with other people. Perhaps you are starting your own business and you are gathering the talents of other people to help you as you do this. This is like a work in progress. So this is not that you may not have even launched anything, but you're getting everything ready. This could be something to do with creative idea. In relationship matters, there could be 3 people involved as you're trying to navigate, that you have to deal with more than one other person in your particular love situation. And again, let's say you have met a Leo or somebody, it doesn't have to be a Leo, but somebody that really is a true love type of situation. It may be just saying that this is a promising relationship, but it still is a work in progress. And also with the number 3, reminding you that somebody else is involved. So having respect for that. The end, or I keep calling it the final result, but the outcome is the 4 of Cups. I typically see this as a card of dissatisfaction, but I've wanted to, because no card is just going to be negative typically. There's always going to be a positive angle to it. And this card can relate to stability in emotional relationships. The number 4 again. So you've gotten 2 4s in this reading. And so maybe you're finally at a place where you're not like that 9 of Swords. You're not bouncing off the walls. And you may not be this person yet. You may not be, because you may not be able to be that person. It's like sometimes you might meet someone and both of you are acknowledging that you've fallen in love, but you have other things going on. And sometimes you're meeting in a foreign country and you have to get a visa and you have to go back to your homeland and you get separated. Sometimes these things happen and there are delays, which the Lover's card may be referring to, but eventually you get there. In terms of any kind of business venture, the 4 of Cups could be related to an offer that you received, but you're not really happy with it. I would say that this is a card to really emphasize gratitude. Even if you decide not to take an offer, if you are in between jobs, as evidenced by the 4 of Swords with some of you, you may be trying to do something on your own, and while you're doing that, you may get a job offer that you're not happy with, but at least consider it and at least be grateful that you're getting these offers, because it's showing that there are multiple opportunities available. And so it's always important to acknowledge the good in order to, keep it coming.